Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Unity tutorial. In this one it's going to be part 4, if I remember correctly, of the FPS tutorial series. So far we've done character movement, we've done the camera movement, and then we've done shooting and reducing health from enemies. So in this one we're going to add in some UI to show what's actually going on. So we can add in enemy health bars that update when they take damage, and we can have the health bar color perhaps change color as we get lower in health, or sorry, as the enemy gets lower in health, so it goes between maybe green when on full health, and then it gets closer to red when they are dying, and they die. So we'll do that for definite this video. And then obviously it all depends on time and whether people like longer or shorter videos, but I feel like after that we could also add in maybe an ammo system or the start of an ammo system. So for this we'll just add in a universal ammunition, and then when we shoot we have to make sure we've got an ammunition. If we do, we'll reduce it, otherwise we don't shoot. And obviously as we move on, different weapons will have different ammunitions and we'll pick it up and stuff. So yeah, we'll just I think the goal of each video is to implement one system and then make the basis of the next one, which we can then build upon and keep going. So obviously last time we added enemy health, so this time we're going to actually show the player the enemy's health, so you can decide what to kill and what health and so on. I mean, it's up to you whether you add the actual health bars or not, because some games don't show the health, you just got to shoot the things till they die, I guess. But anyway, I want to start by thanking my donators on Patreon, Paul Robinson, Phil Baum, and Wesley. Thanks for the donations. To get access to all my Unity projects from now on, after this one, well, after and including this one. So yeah, anyway, we need to use UI. So has no UI. It's just well, sorry, no. Technically, we've got the crosshair, but that's not really part of the UI. I mean, it is okay. It is technically, but there's nothing interesting. It's just a static thing in the middle of the screen. We can click kill those boxes, or these have health to kill the enemies. But, we don't know how much health these are on. We don't have any really response. The player doesn't have a clue he's hitting anything. We can obviously add sounds and, like, decals, or whatever they're called when the bullet holes. But, well, we can do that in the future, like in the next episode or two, or whenever we get around to doing it. But for now, we'll add a health bar. So, first of all, I'm going to write... Well, let's open up our code. I haven't got any code open. Okay. So, we're going to write a script, which is just a generic script, which I'm going to call Billboard UI. Which I generally make in most of my projects, and it just sits on anything that you want to rotate to face the player, or anything, but it's always going to be the player in a first-person game. So what we can do is we want basically this is going to sit on the this is going to sit on the actual camera. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to rotate the let's put it on the camera. Actually, no, sorry, this isn't going to be on the camera. This is going to read the camera as such, but it's actually going to sit on the UI that we want. So what we can do is, let's say the UI, well, let's go to this enemy. Okay, so this is the enemy we'll do it on, and we can apply to the prefabs. Now these boxes don't have health bars, so we don't really care. We're going to go to the enemy here, and we're going to go below it, and we're going to say create UI, and we're going to go for a slider. Now that creates a canvas and a slider, which looks ridiculous. That's because by default it's an on-screen UI, like you can see, like that. But we want it to be world space. We want the health bar to be inside the world. So what we can do is we can click over here on the canvas and change it from screen space overlay to world space. So now it treats it as if it is in the world. So it goes behind other things, and you don't see it on the UI here. So now that we put it on world space, we need to... I didn't know event camera, that didn't used to be a thing. Oh well, I'm guessing we just give it our normal camera. But anyway, so what we want to do is we want to go put this on our player. So we go 0, 0, 0, and take the slider. It's in the middle anyway. So if we go all the way in now to our enemy, it's hard to get the scaling right. As you see, we've got a gigantic health bar in the world. Now, it's close to what we want, but not quite. So we just need to scale it down. Now, the canvas we can just bring all the way down. Need to get a better view of this, to be honest. It's always fun scaling this kind of thing. So let's get that closer. Down here, we can always scale the slider and just bring that in. Lovely. Obviously it looks a bit ridiculous right now, but don't worry. Let's just go position this right. So if we go put it 0, 0, it's right in the center of the enemy. Let's bring it all the way in. Alright, so just imagine if that's above the enemy. It's obviously in line with them. We want to bring this part of the canvas down. We don't want it to be as long, just about there. Now obviously set it 0, and we can go for 1.5, so it's just above them. And this is where the health bar slider's going to be, okay? The problem is our slider is a bit ridiculous right now. I'm just wondering if this is actually going to make life easier. No, it isn't. It wants to be gigantic. Okay, let's just... Scaling it down never seems to work, because what you can do is you can actually press R and you can press this scale thing here, and it does this, which is pretty much what we want. And as you can see, we see a UI thing above the health, a slider. Now let's just scale this to here. Now for a health bar, okay, because it's health bar, we don't actually want this slider handle thing on it. We don't want to drag anything, so we can just delete that. We still want the area, and let's just get rid of all these annoying default numbers that like add padding. We just want to go nope, nope, 0, 0, 0, 0, fill 0 there, background 0, yeah, whatever, and then this slider 0, 0. Okay, so now it's just a bar. Okay. Just a bar like that. Now, in my opinion, I think we should just squeeze it a bit. Maybe even bring this down, and then the slider can just fit back to it. Slider. Okay, is that scaled right? Trying to select the right thing here. There we go. Alright, so now that we've got this, we can apply some color, okay? So if we go to, well actually no, we don't really need to apply color because we're going to do that in code. So what we should do is, we've got this background here, and then we've got the fill area. So if we go to the slider, you see there's a value here. Now, as you see, as I slide the value, it slides the actual bar. So we have a foreground color and a background color. Now, in reality, I don't want a background color, or if I do, it should be like very faint. So let's go to the background and just change it to like a gray, but like a low transparency gray. So it's kind of visible like that, but it's I'm not a fan of that. Let's just go to background and just lower that a bit more. Okay. I'm just gonna press play and just go look what that's like when you get close to the enemy. Now, at the moment, it doesn't rotate at all. It's just facing in that direction. Obviously, it's giant, but I like the transparency stuff, so it's fine. So we can leave that as it is, but let's obviously go and just tweak this canvas down. And put the slider back. Okay. Now that I'm happy with all of that tweaking, we can go ahead and we can start doing the code for it. So obviously all we need to do in the code is just change this value. It goes up and down. So we take damage that goes down, 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 down. Okay. Now we can do this all in the health script because the health script's the only thing that's going to manage the health bar UI. We don't need to make another script for this. But the thing about this UI is, as I've already shown you, if we walk around the enemy, if we walk around him, it just faces in that direction, which isn't great. We want to always be able to easily see the UI. So this script that I said we were going to make, the billboard UI, we're going to add it to that. Now what's it going to do? Well, first of all, we need a reference to the camera because we want it to always be facing in the direction of the camera. So let's store a private camera player camera. Now we could just reference camera.main. The problem is, it's always bad to reference like that every frame because it's just inefficient. It's better to store it. Now, if you're going to be changing camera all the time, then, obviously you have to take that into consideration. But we just have this one player camera we're looking through, so it's fine. And because we're going to be setting its position, we also need to store an offset because the problem is, well, I'll show you. I mean, to be honest, if we rotated the slider, you'll see the problem with this. We could put the code on the slider, sorry, yeah. Which, I mean, it would work, to be honest. Yeah, we'll just do that then. Okay. So what we'll say is we'll say private void start player camera is equal to, and then we can just say camera dot main, so we just get it right at the start rather than getting it every frame. And then we can say we want a fixed update, so private void fixed update. We'll have a look at player function. If we need to change this, then we will, but for now it's fine. And then we want a private void look at player. And what that's going to do is it's going to say if actually no, that's fine. The player camera is going to, well, actually the player camera will only ever not be there if the player dies, in which case, well, we haven't added dying yet, so for now I'll just say transform.lookat. So this is rotates the transform, so the forward vector points towards the current position. So basically, if we had a vector free position in the scene, it would make it so the blue axis, on here, which is the forward. Actually, I tell a lie. I think it's here. It's the x-axis where I'm about. Would rotate to face that. No, Z is into the scene. I'm getting confused now, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So what we need to say is we need to pass it in, as you see. Well, it takes in different possibilities. We're actually going to pass in a two vector frees, the world position and the up position. To go about that. So what we want to do is we want to pass in transform.position. So the current position, okay, of the UI plus the camera's position, so player camera dot transform dot, and then we want dot rotation times by vector free dot forward, which basically, obviously, vector free dot forward is just 0, 0, 1. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the rotation, and if you multiply a value by, well, if you take the first two, the x and y of this, and times it by the x and y of this, you're going to get 0. So it only really cares about the z, okay? So this is just saying, take our position plus the z of that, comma, and then the up vector is to take the player camera dot transform dot rotation, so take the rotation, and multiply it by vector free dot up. Because if you times it by vector free dot up, we just get the y, because the zeros cancel out the other two values. If you times by 0, you get 0. If you times by 1, you get the value. Okay? And then transform.position. Actually, we don't need to care about that because we don't have an offset. So it's just going to be where it is. Now if I zoom back in, okay, that's just a quick calculation. So just give it a second to compile. And if we go and add that to the slider, so let's call the canvas enemy health bar, I don't know. And on the slider, we can then add the component billboard UI that we just wrote. It doesn't need anything added to it. And that can go on multiple different things. So actually in our prefabs, we should make a new prefab for the enemy health bar, like so. And apply all. Now obviously all these are going to have these half-empty health bars, which we're going to write the fill code for in actual code. But if we go and press play now, assuming that I have done it right, as you see, we walk around here, and the actual code makes the health bar always look where we are, no matter how close we get, or if we tilt our camera, move around, go all the way around the enemy, we can always easily see its health bar, okay? So it makes life much easier, and obviously the health bars don't update, they just kind of happen and then die. But you get the idea. So now we can actually see the health bar as we move around. So the next thing we want to do is the actual updating it. So if we go to our enemy, okay, let's go to just one of the enemies. So we've got this guy, enemy health script. So what do we need to add to this now? Well, we're going to have to add a reference to a slider. Now that's not by default in here, so we have to be using the Unity Engine .ui, so we have access to all that. We'll call it health bar slider. I mean, health bar is usually one word, so health bar slider. Doesn't really matter. And we can set the value of that each time the enemy takes damage. And we can also set it at the start. But what we'll do is we'll say, write function, so private void set health bar UI. Okay. Now all we want this code to do is, well, when do we want to call it? We want to call it when we've taken damage. So we can do it after we've checked if we're dead. So set health bar UI. It's the only time we really want to do it, and I guess right at the start just to make sure it's all okay. So now this function can just handle it, and we call it when we start to make sure it's right, and when we take damage to make sure it's right. So for now, we'll just do a quick, simple setting the value, then we can add the color in afterwards. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to say health bar slider dot value, which is that variable that I was sliding around earlier to make the bar go up and down. So we want to set the value equal to, now it's a value between 0 and 1. So the way to get between 0 and 1, we can take the current health divided by the max health of the player, and that'll return a value that we can use as the fill value. Now, because the health is in an integer, and the max health is an integer, if you do the integer division, you're not going to get a decimal between 0 and 1. So we need to cast them as floats. Now I'll explain what that means in a second. So as you see, this value thing here is a float, so it says float slider value. So what we want to do, we can just write another function just to keep it nice. So it's a private float, because this function returns a float. Calculate health percentage. Now, this function could be used somewhere else. Now, we're going to get a percentage, so actually, what we could do is, we could get this out of 100. So this is going to be between 0 and 100, because it's going to be a percentage. So what it's going to do is it's going to give us a value between 0 and 100. 100 if we're on full health. So what we need to do is we just need to say, like health, so current health, divided by max health. So it's the stats, enemy stats dot max health. Let's put that in brackets because we want to do that sum, so the current health over the max health, divided by 100. Sorry, no, times by 100, so we get a percentage. Okay, now what's it doing with this? It doesn't know, it's just saying it just exists. So we want to return it, because that's what this function does. It returns a float. That's why I put private float. But then the problem with this is, as I said, these are actually integers. So if we want to treat them as floats, we have to do bracket float like that, and float like that. Okay. Now it might go grey saying it's redundant, but actually it isn't. It won't work otherwise. I've tried this myself. It just doesn't work. Now this is going to give us a value between 0 and 100. So obviously it's going to give us 50 for half health. So we could just say set the value to calculate that. So we're going to call that function, and it's just going to return whatever we're on. The problem is our value right now goes between 0 and 1. As far as I know, it just limits it. So if we put in 100, it'll just treat it as 1. If we put in negative 100, it'll treat it as 0. So what we really want to do, just to make this work nicely, is go to our health bar slider right here and just tell it that the min value is 0 and the max value is 100. Okay, and set that to 100 for now. And then I don't know why all that is like that, but anyway. What we need to do now is we just need to apply this on the prefab, so just apply everything. Okay, and as you see, they're all out of 100 now. If we go into the slider, it's out of 100. Okay, so that's going to do the health. So theoretically, that should work right now. I don't see why we shouldn't go and test it. So if I go to an enemy and I just drag in its slider, so we go apply that. So this enemy has this slider reference. If I go to the other enemy, so test enemy 1, and click on slider, it's going to have its own sliders reference, so that should work. Let's press play and have a look. So now I'm going to go and click this guy. His health bar is going down, he dies. Click this one, his health bar is going down. Click that one, his health bar is going down, he dies. This one, he dies. So there we go, we've got our health bar working. We can click and it goes down. So now there's only really one other thing we want do, which is optional, just as a little thing for this video, as we're currently 20 minutes in, so this color thing will not take long. We want to change the color. Now, as you see on like the slider here, we've got normal color, but that's not going to work. That's actually, yeah, we need to have a graphic value. But what we can do is we can just change the color of, is it fill that we want to change? Fill color. Oh yeah, I'm all the way over here, never mind, I'm just being silly. So we want to change this value, maybe getting closer from red, or from green to red, for example. So what we can do is just leave it as white for now. We want to have reference to this image. So what we can say is we can go to our code, we can have a serialized field, private image, and we can call it health bar image. I don't know what to say for that one actually, because it's kind of the color image. A health bar fill image, okay? And we want to set its color. So if we go to set the UI, we're going to say we want to set the health bar fill image dot color. Okay, it needs to be a color. So we'll say color dot lerp. Now what lerp means is it'll linearly interpolate. I can't speak, sorry. I've explained this before, but basically we pass in two colors and a float, which is t, and what it will do is if it will be t distance between the two. So if we pass in A and B, so red and black, and I pass in 0, it'll be red, which is color A. If I pass in 1, it'll return black, and any value in between will return the colors in between. So we can smoothly go between the two colors like a gradient. So we want to say color lerp. Now we need two colors and t. So let's just color. We'll put those in a second. Float t will actually be the health percentage divided by 100. Now rather than calling it twice to do the calculation, we can just store it. So we can just say float health percentage is equal to calculate that. And then we can just say health percentage. And then here we can say health percentage over 100. So that we get it as a value between 0 and 1. And now we just need two colors. So what we can actually do is we can then just say serialized field private color, and we can just say max health color. Spell it my way, and then empty health color. I don't know. Low health color. No health color. Because to be honest, this is like going between the max to the no health. 0 health color. I don't know. Whatever you want. So we can say this is when it's on 0. So this is a 0 health color to max health color, and these are both colors. So all we have to do now, which is nice, is we can now set in here the two colors we want to go between. So if we go to our test enemy, it says it needs a fill image, so let's just drag in the fill image. And it needs two colors, so max health color, we can go for a green. Let's try and get a nice green, I don't know. And then we can go to a like red, okay, and make sure the alpha's full, otherwise it'll be invisible, or transparent technically. And if we go to this test enemy where we've set it and we apply, all we need to do now is hopefully play the game and watch it work. So we're on green health here, and then as we shoot we get darker red, we go to red, they die. Green, getting darker, goes to red, die. Green, darker, goes to red, die. Boom. Okay, so that's the video done. That's the main part. So we've got UI that looks and turns to us and updates when we damage, changes color, goes down, they die. Okay, so that's this video. Obviously I'm going to keep trying to do daily updates for this. Obviously leave your suggestions in the comments below, what you want me to cover next, and also what you want me to cover in terms of other Unity videos, like other game series to do these kind of videos on. So yeah, just leave feedback, obviously, subscribe and like the videos, it would help a lot. Join our Discord server with to join in with the discussion. But yeah, most over all the others, just leave suggestions. Basically, that's all I want. I want to do videos. I hope you like how it's going so far. So anyway, I don't want to let this video go on too much longer, so thanks for watching and goodbye.